Hello everybody, my name is Brianna Bilo and I'm a meteorologist here with the National Weather Service office in Grand Junction, Colorado. And this is your July 2023 monthly climate summary. So starting off for our story of the month, we saw some record heat in July. Quite a departure from what we saw in the first half of the year, where it was generally characterized by cool, stormy, wet, below normal sort of temperatures. And in July, summer came and it came in a hurry. We started the month right around normal, maybe a little bit below, but by the second week of the month, we spiked right up. On July 11th, we hit our first 100-degree day here at the Grand Junction Airport for the whole year. And we saw those triple-digit temperatures continuing off and on more or less through the rest of the month. We actually saw 3 days that set new record high temperatures, and we saw 2 separate days that set record warm low temperatures. And the hottest day of the month, and you'll see this when we go over the temperatures as well, was July 17th. We set numerous records that day, and the Grand Junction Airport not only set a new record, the previous record was 104, we hit 107, but we also tied the all-time record high for any day of the year, which was 107, and this was actually first set on July 9th, 2021. I remember it well. I was traveling to Denver. This was, as I mentioned, definitely a departure from what we saw the first half of the year. Definitely a toasty month, for sure. I'm glad we're not seeing those 100-degree days anymore. I don't handle the heat very well. It seems kind of funny that I moved to the desert, but there you go. Looking at our high temperatures, as I said, pretty much all of these happen on the 17th, with a few exceptions being Montrose, where it hit 99 twice on the 17th and on the 24th, and then for Aspen, where their highest high of the month actually occurred on the 24th only. The rest of them, July 17th, our big winner was Canyonlands with 110, followed by that 107 I mentioned in Grand Junction. How many is this? 6 of our 10 sites ended up with a highest high of the month above 100 degrees, while 2 were right on that threshold. Durango and Montrose hit 99, and then Meeker and Aspen were kind of our cool spots for the month, with Meeker coming in at 96 and Aspen at a wonderfully cool 91. Low temperatures for the month, pretty balmy for a lot of us, but the lowest lows, our coolest one was Aspen on the 1st with 38. That sounds real nice, actually. And Meeker real close on the heels with a 39. And even Durango and Craig were kind of in that cool zone with a 40 and 41. And then kind of, getting warmer as we move. You can kind of see these are a little bit scattershot. Most of them happened on the 1st, but we had a few happen later in the month, with Cortez and Durango happening on the 9th and the 6th, respectively. Vernal hit theirs on the 11th. The warmest low of the month occurred in Canyonlands with 57 degrees on the 1st and the 2nd, followed by Grand Junction with 56 on the 1st. As far as precip, unfortunately, we hit those really warm temperatures and we stopped seeing that precipitation. So overall, the month of July was drier than normal. The most precipitation fell at Meeker, where they actually ended up slightly above normal as far as their precipitation with 1.2 inches. The least amount of precipitation fell here in Grand Junction with only a trace of precipitation falling through the month. This was almost 0.6 of an inch below normal, and while we did have 4 or 5 days of the month of July register a trace of precipitation, unfortunately the sum of all traces is a trace. So we finished the month and we tied our record lowest monthly precipitation at just a trace with July of 1898. So definitely a surprise dry month, but with the surplus of precipitation from the first half of the year, the annual totals are not suffering quite as much. We are dropping below normal, but we're right around maybe half an inch below normal rather than the 2 inches we've seen in previous drier years. So Could definitely be a lot worse, but it could be better. And there's hope for August as we finally started seeing some of this monsoonal moisture move in. And while Grand Junction hasn't seen a lot of it, many of these other places, Aspen, Vernal, definitely Rifle, Cortez and Durango, have definitely gotten in on this moisture and have seen much better precipitation totals to kind of make up for this poor showing in the month of July. Moving on to our drought update, unfortunately, because we saw those hot and dry conditions in the month, we have seen a return to drought over eastern Utah and western Colorado. We have this large swath of D1, which is moderate drought. This is your first actual drought category, while pretty much all of the southern half of the area is in D0 or abnormally dry conditions, which you can kind of think of as like a drought watch almost. It could go either way. You know, you get some good precipitation, this could just totally go away. But if it continues to dry, you will see the emergence of these drought categories. So definitely something to keep an eye on, especially now that we are seeing some moisture with the monsoon, to see how this kind of changes and develops as we move into the fall. As far as the monthly drought outlook and the drought tendency, really no indication here. And part of that is because this was made when eastern Utah and western Colorado were still either no drought or only abnormally dry, because abnormally dry doesn't count as a drought category as far as these drought tendency maps are concerned. So no indication as far as drought tendency, but based on what's actually happening, we'll probably see some drought development between now and when I do the next video, unless we see some really crazy moisture come in and just completely eradicate all of this. So stay tuned. It could get a little weird. Snowpack update. This will be the last one for at least a month, maybe two, depending on when the accumulating snow starts up again this fall. But we have finally seen full melt out of all basins in Utah and Colorado. So we're done. We're done with snow for the a little while anyway. We'll probably see the return of this for the November update, as we typically see some accumulating snow in late October, but don't hold your breath. It may be December before we see that. A lot of things can happen between now and then, but for the time being, this will not return for next month's update and possibly the month after that. August 2023 climate outlook per CPC. We are looking at equal chances of above and below normal temperatures, which we have run a little bit above normal overall as far as the month of August up to this date, but that really depends on where you are and how much of an influence that monsoonal moisture is making on you. So definitely, equal chances. And as far as precipitation is concerned, seeing equal chances from the Four Corners north to about the I-70 corridor, and then increasing likelihood of above normal precipitation as you move north, with the far northern border most favored. Again, we will see if this kind of plays out, as we have seen kind of a transition from these mid-latitude storms bringing precipitation to the north to more of a monsoonal flow that favors the southern portions of the area. But we are seeing precipitation out there this month, which is just wonderful after July. And that's all for the July roundup, and I will see you again next month. Have a good one, everybody.